Hi everyone, this is Amanda Buddemeyer. I am the product manager for Torus, and today I'm going to be going through a demo of Torus version 28. This is the release of Torus that we're releasing on July 29th, 2024. I'm recording most of this demo on June 29th, so exactly a month from the day that I am recording and posting this video. Those of you who have been coming to Torus community meetings or have otherwise been plugged in to what's going on with Torus version 28 might notice that previously the release date had been July 24th. And for various reasons, we realized that that July 24th date wasn't going to work and we needed to push to the following Monday, July 29th. So we do have a new release date as of, this is a hot off the presses update. So I'm going to get into what is involved in Torus version 28. We have enhancements to discuss across all of our different interfaces, but the biggest one is going to be a complete redesign of our student interface that we're very excited about and we think is going to be very intuitive for our students, and it's going to be a good user experience for them. So let's get into it. So this is the agenda of what I'm going over in the demo today. This is going to be a much longer, more involved demo than I would typically do for a Torus release. And the reason for that is that because we have this whole redesign of the student interface. So I want to make sure that I'm really getting into that so that folks can see what the new interface and the new experience is going to look like. If you look in the description of this video below, you'll see that every item on this agenda has a timestamp, and you'll actually be able to click in to easily navigate to that section of the video. So by using the timestamps, I'm hoping that this can be a nice reference for folks that if you want to see how a particular enhancement in version 28 works, that you can actually just easily find that part of the video and watch it instead of having to try to go through this long video. So before I get into the demo, I just want to talk about support materials that we've put together for this new student interface. First and foremost, this demo video, pardon, as I mentioned, this can really be a resource for folks to kind of click through and see how different features work. Additionally, over the next month, we're going to be releasing documentation facing all of our different user populations to help them to understand what is going to be in the new release and how the new student interface is going to look and to support them in transitioning to that. Additionally, I've already started and we've already started getting some of our community members into to see version 28 in a staging environment, and I'll talk about what that means in a moment. But in advance of our release, actually having folks who can go in and click through and see what their specific classes are going to look like in version 28, just so that they can make sure that everything looks like they might expect it to look, there's nothing that's confusing, and to make sure that they are familiar with the new release and the new features before it goes into production. And that is particularly important for anyone who's a summer instructor who their courses might be in flight when that release date happens on July 29th. So the student interface is going to look one way on July 28th. And then when students log in on July 29th, it's going to look different. Again, we've made it to be hopefully a very intuitive experience, and we've done a lot of research with users, and we put in a lot of design effort to try to accomplish that, but it can be a bit of a confusing transition if you're used to the interface looking one way. So it could be really helpful for folks to get in and actually be able to try this out in kind of a sandbox before the actual release happens on July 29th. Beyond those resources, if you have any questions, requests, if there's anything that you want to talk to me about to clear up or just chat about the new release, my contact information is in the description below. Please reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about this release or anything related to Torus. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page about what I mean when I'm talking about a staging environment. So I want to contrast a production environment versus a staging environment. A production environment or a live environment is, for Torus, this is where real students enroll in real classes for real grades. This is the Torus that I believe that most of you are used to interacting with. It's the real Torus. But we also have, as a completely separate website, a staging environment, which is really just a sandbox. There's no real classes, there's no real grades, there's no consequences if someone's playing around in there and does something wonky or messes something up. It's just someplace that users can go and play around. And we have prepared a staging environment that has Torus version 28 as it exists right now, and we can set up classes so that when I'm doing my demo today, that's going to be in the staging environment. And if you're coming in and doing a class in advance of our release date, if you're just kind of playing around with the version 28 interface, that's going to be in a staging environment. So you don't have to worry that something that you're doing in your class is actually going to impact real students. Our main production environment, it's not our only production environment, but our main production environment that we use at OLI is called Proton. And you'll notice in my screenshot here that the web address includes Proton. It's proton.oli.cmu.edu. And then we have that blue and purple Torus logo. The staging environment that I'm going to be using today is called Stellarator. So I have included a little of the web address, and it's stellarator.oli.cmu.edu, so a different web address. And you'll also see in my demo, and if you actually go into our staging environment, that the Torus logo here in the upper left-hand corner, first of all, it actually says staging, so that it's very clear that this is not a real environment. And also the colors on the Torus logo are a little different, so that makes it easier to tell as well that this isn't the production environment. So I have prepared a demo course called AI Generated Purple Unicorns. I just threw it together really quickly with ChatGPT and Midjourney, making some images. And it's just a small class that in the course section I've made so that I can actually demo using this course. And that's what I'm going to be clicking through in our demo today. And I also invite everyone who's watching this demo, there will be a link in the description for you to enroll in AI Generated Purple Unicorns. So if you want, you can actually just pause this video, enroll in the class, and as I'm going through my demo, in the student environment, then you can go along with me and kind of be clicking through and playing around on your own, and you can see things and play with things that I'm not, that might not even be in the demo because I just can't click through everything. I also have a link down there to enroll in a student account in Stellarator. So, which again, our staging environment. So if, even if you have a Torus account, you might not have a Stellarator account, or you might not have a Stellarator student account. So you can create a student account and then use that account to enroll in AI Generated Purple Unicorns. All of that information is in the description below. And one final caveat I want to mention before I get into the demo is, so again, I'm recording this mostly on June 29th. We still have a month to go until our release. So we're still working on Torus version 28. By and large, the functionality that's going to be included in Torus version 28, the main things are in place, but we're still working on tweaking some things. And you'll even see in the demo there's at least one place I come across something that that is going to have to be fixed before we go into production. If anybody spots it, you can make a comment and we'll see if somebody figures out what it is. And maybe you guys will even notice things that I haven't noticed. But just keep that in mind, both when you're watching the demo and if you're clicking through on the course, that this is a staging environment. It's not production ready yet. We're still working on it. So keep that in mind. And something I forgot to mention on the previous slide is, as far as enrolling in the class, I did set it up to be something that's primarily during this period before we've done the release for Torus version 28 on July 29th. So if you're watching this demo after that date, you might not be able to enroll in the course. It could have expired by then. So sorry about that. But with no further ado, I'm going to pull up the Torus student interface and do a demo of Torus version 28. So I actually had previously clicked through this. I'm on the home page here, and if this was the first time that I had accessed this course, then this big header here would actually say start learning. So it would be a different message. But because I've been in here before, now it says continue learning, and it will actually, I can start off where I left off here. So it's showing me, kind of where I am in the class. And I also could click on show in course to kind of see this as part of the whole course schedule, but I'll get to that in a little bit later in the demo. So going down further into our home page here, I'll see my overall course progress is 22%. I also can scroll down here and see my assignments. This is an aspect of the page that we added due to feedback we got in our research that students, it was really important to students to be able to see what is your next upcoming thing that you have to do in terms of assignments for the class. So this is showing your next 3 items that are due that haven't been completed. And actually, if I go to latest, once I've finished one of these assignments, it moves from the upcoming tab here to the latest. So if I click here, you can see that this is an item that I've already completed. I got 1 out of 3, that's my score. And I also have completed 1 out of 5 attempts that I have. But I know we've gotten questions from folks who kind of question the business rules here of they don't want students to lose track of the fact that they can, they've gone through this quiz, they've completed the assignment, they don't have to go back and do more, but they can have additional attempts with this, the way this is configured, they can go back and try to do better. And what I will mention is that even though that doesn't appear here under my assignments, they can still see it on the right side of the screen with their upcoming agenda. So the upcoming agenda is showing everything. It's not only showing the scored items here, it's showing including practice pages. So I see a broader view of what's coming up week by week. But if I look at this same section quiz that I just looked at, it shows me that I still have additional attempts here. So I'm not losing track of the fact that this item's here, it's coming up in the agenda, and I can go back and do additional attempts. It's just that if I want that really narrow view of what do I absolutely have to do that I haven't finished yet, that's what's going to be showing up here in this upcoming tab. And again, this is based on feedback from our students in terms of how they want to see these aspects and what information they want to see when they're first logging in. So I did talk a little bit about this upcoming agenda item, and I will point out that kind of similar to my assignments, this only shows the next several items. It doesn't show the entire schedule, but if I do want to see the full schedule, I can click here, and it's the same as if I clicked on schedule over here, and I will go to that in a moment. I just haven't gotten to that part of the demo yet. So here I can actually click into any of these items. I can here as well. So we have multiple ways to get into different pages, but if I want to click into a page, I can just click. I get to the page, and I can actually scroll through my content. One thing that you'll notice is that the pages here, the content really renders very much the same way that it does in Torus version 27 and previous versions. So this, for anyone who's concerned that the new interface is going to really make a drastic change to how the content on the pages render, that's not the case. This is all rendering the same way, but there are some new things on the screen here. So the way that we do our learning objectives and proficiency here, I can see that, and I can actually click in to see how are we measuring learning efficiency, learning proficiency, pardon me. Like what are the potential items that show here, whether it's not enough information, beginning, growing, and establishing proficiency in the learning objective associated with this page. And this one shows L1. I have beginning proficiency in this, this learning objective, and the learning objective is AI and unicorns. So that's what's identified for this part of the page. Something else that you're going to notice here is that here I've said that I've estimated that the content on this page is going to take about 5 minutes to go through. And this is a new feature we have with version 28. By default, there is nothing set here, so you wouldn't see anything here about how long it will take. But if you choose, you can tell your students about how long they can expect this page to take. And again, this is based on feedback we've gotten from our students that when we're doing research, that they really want to be able to see if we have an idea of how long it's going to take to get through each of these items. All right, so that is my overview of the home page and of the individual content pages. So I'm next going to click into the Learn page here. And this is a page where we can see the entire curriculum in the order that it's constructed and that it's arranged by the author of the course. So this is in a kind of a chronological order of how the content is arranged by the author, whereas if I look in the schedule, I'm going to see in the order of the dates, the due dates, but I'll get to that in a moment. So this is one of the views that we are the proudest of in the new interface, again, based on feedback from students, that we have what we call this Netflix view of all of the curriculum. And you can see that I have each of these containers and even individual pages have the possibility of having like a custom, we call this a poster, that you can make for the module or the container or the page. This is something we can add in the authoring interface, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And there is a default image that you'll see if you don't go in and set a custom image for this. We also, this particular unit I set up to have an intro video. This is also something that can be configured in the authoring interface. So this one, I will show it to you, but it is a kind of a silly video I made just by moving around a image. So it's not a very interesting video, but I wanted to show you the feature. So if I click on this video, I just kind of moved this image around to show you a video. It's just a couple seconds. But in the authoring interface, these containers can have an intro video if you think that would be useful. You can see for the unit what is the overall progress in that unit. This intro video or any particular item, you can see this little green check mark, and I perhaps didn't pick the best. I picked a little bit of some busy unicorn images here, so it's a little bit hard to see the green check mark. But on pages that I have visited, then we have that check mark in the lower corner to see that I've done it. And then for other sub-containers like this module, you can kind of see this green progress bar showing how much progress I've made. And if I click into this, it does tell me that in this module, I've done 2 of the 5 pages. And I can, if I want, hide the pages that have been completed so I only see the stuff I haven't done. This is another one that I've done an intro video for here. So again, that's an option. I think I did the same video. Yeah, I didn't get too fancy with the videos I was doing. Again, that's optional. And I can just see, and I can click into any of the items. And again, I've kind of set some times here of how long I think that things are going to take. If my unit here, I've set up a unit that has more modules and more items under it than are going to fit across the screen. So I do get a little arrow here so I can kind of scroll and see everything. Here, I'll close this. I can go through all of my my content on this page. So if your students don't like this gallery view or this Netflix view, then they can just look at this as in a more kind of traditional outline view where they can see all of the content and scroll through it. The next item that I'm going to demo here is our schedule page. And unlike the Learn view, which showed everything in kind of the order that the items were put in the curriculum, this is showing based on the due date. So it's going week by week, and I can see that some of my items I have passed, and so they're grayed out here. But for the things that are coming up, then I can see those in order. And it's just kind of organizing everything in a complete chronological view. So when I had been back on the home page, there's a couple ways I can see, like if I click this view full schedule because I want to see the entire agenda, that actually takes me back to this course schedule page as well. Same page. And the final thing I want to demonstrate, I'll actually go back into a page to demonstrate this notes. So I have to make some notes before I go in there. But let me click into one of these pages. And the notes is actually in this little toolbar up here. This item, I can pull it out. And I have 2 types of notes. I have my notes and I have class notes. So my notes for each student is just for that student. If they want to keep their own notes, and the way this works is you can kind of grab a page element. So if I want to make a note about this picture, I can say, I love My Little Pony, and save it. I could also go in and say, this paragraph is confusing. Ask instructor about it in class. So just emphasizing that my notes, again, are just for me to see. And I can actually make multiples of them. So you can see this one just says 1 to show there's 1 note. Or if I want to add a new one anywhere, then there's a little plus. So class notes is actually to be shared between the class. So for this one, I'm not going to log in as multiple students, but if I put something here, I could say, is anyone confused about this? I could use some help. And if I post that as a class note, then everyone in the class and the instructor can see this. They can thumbs up it if they like it. They can reply. So they could say, I'm confused too. Maybe we can study together. So this is a nice feature for students to use in order to kind of communicate. It's also a nice way for the instructor to be able to see what are the students talking about. It can make a kind of heat map of what are things that either students are most excited about and talking about, or what are they struggling with. So this is a nice feature for students to be able to comment on specific aspects of the page. The notes feature is turned off by default, and it can be turned on and off, per page or for the entire application. So you can make decisions about whether to turn it on at all, or whether to allow this stay anonymous feature. Now, having made some notes, if I go back into the notes here, then I can see under course discussion, I can see all of those specific notes I made, and I can also click in to say, oh, so this happened in the class notes. Let me go to where that is, and of course I'd have to bring this toolbar out so that I can see it. And similarly, if I go into notes and I want to see just my notes, that of course is not working for me to click on because I'm doing a demo. But in theory, I could click on this and I would just see that the my notes that I made for myself on the page there, and this will aggregate them throughout the entire course, so I can see all of the course notes and all of the my notes. So that's everything I was going to demonstrate for the student interface. And now we'll move on to the instructor features. So now I want to talk about some of the differences and enhancements that we've made in the instructor interface. And the first part of this I want to talk about is a reorganization that we've done of the menu structure in the instructor interface. And I know that for folks who are used to the way that things are organized in the current version of Torus, just putting things in different places can be confusing. So I know that this could be an adjustment for folks, but I do want to emphasize that we made this reorganization both based on some new functionality and new needs that we have, and also based on research about what is the most clear for our users. So hopefully, even though this might take an adjustment in the short term, it will be more clear for existing users and new users and more intuitive moving forward. And one thing I do want to point out that was an adjustment that was made here in response to feedback from our users is that this top level menu here is something that's going to stay frozen when you scroll. So you'll see if I scroll up and down, I can always get to that top level menu. So I actually am going to switch to a slide just because I think that a slideshow presentation makes it a little bit easier to compare the way the menu looks now. And I'm looking in our staging environment at what this looks like in version 28 versus what this menu structure looks like right now today in production Torus in version 27. So I'm going to be showing you some images from the menu, and they'll be from this top level menu here. And then also we have the second level menu that is dependent on what's selected here. So now I'm in overview and I see this menu. And if I click on insights, then I see a different menu. And by and large, these two tabs are where this reorganization has happened. The manage tab is largely the same. And also discussion activity is largely the same, though this is also now where you would go to see notes as well. And we had talked about notes in the student part of the demo here. So this is where you'll go to see the class notes, though as an instructor, you will not be able to see the My Notes. If a student picks My Notes, that's just for them to see, but you can see class notes here. All right, so now I'm going to switch to the slideshow so that we can kind of do a direct comparison of these menus between version 27 of Torus and version 28. So I'm going to start by talking about this top level menu. And the main change here, as you can see, is that we had in version 27 had a reports tab, and now there's an insights tab. And when I'm going to talk about the second level menu, then again, the main reorganization is going to happen under this overview, and then in this second tab that had been reports in version 27 and is now going to be insights in version 28. So looking under the overview menu, then a couple of things have moved around. So the top here we have Torus version 27, so that's what you would see in Torus today, in June, before our July 29th release date. So you'll see these 5 items, and 3 of them have actually been moved under the Insights tab. That's scored activities, practice activities, and surveys are now not under Overview, they're under Insights. And we have 2 new items here that are now in version 28 under the Overview menu, and those are students and quiz scores, which previously had been under reports. And I do want to point out that this works the same way. This item, if you click on it, works the same way in version 27 and version 28. So this is where you go to see what students are enrolled in the class and to enroll new students. If you're going to do that manually, this is where you can add a student. So just keep in mind, if you want to navigate here, that now you would go to Overview and then Students instead of Reports and then Students. And then under the Reports tab, as I had mentioned, then these 3 items from the previous slide had been under Overview, but now in version Torus version 28, then scored activity, practice activity, and survey are now under the Insights tab. And under that second tab, which was called Reports in version 27, then we had that student and the quiz scores that we talked about in the last tab. Now those are under Overview. And then you'll also notice that this course discussion tab that had been in Torus version 27 under Reports has just been consolidated into that top level menu item discussion activity. So there's no reason to go to a sub menu now. You're just going to go to that discussion activity. So those are how the contents of the menu items have been reorganized. And now I'm going to show you some changes that we've made to our instructor dashboard on the actual pages under these menu items. Okay, so I'm starting under the new Insights tab, and I'm in Content. So this is a view of looking at the aggregated kind of course level, and I can look at units or I can look at modules. And either way, I get some nice new features here. I get these built-in, quick filters where I can look at my high progress, low proficiency areas, or I can look at things that have 0 student progress. So do I want to see an area that where none of my students have gone? And I also get these nice filters where I can filter by course progress, and I can filter by proficiency. So I'm going to pick low just because I've been the demo student here and I've just been randomly clicking things. So I bet my proficiency is low. Yeah, proficiency is low here. And if I click in, I can see that's, that my proficiency in particular, I only have 1 student listed here because I only enrolled as 1 student. But if I had multiple students, then I would be able to see them and filter. So now because I've clicked in and I'm looking at the student level, then I am seeing, I am seeing the students instead of the units or modules, and I can actually up here navigate through the sections, and I can do just within the 2 units that I filtered, or I can say I want to see these students actually, I want to be able to follow them throughout the entire class, so that's what these radio buttons are for. I have some of these quick filters here, but I can also do a filter by progress or proficiency. If I click in, then I see my student view. I'm realizing now that my video is cutting off, but you can see that for this student, which is my demo student, then I can actually see the student's progress for progress and proficiency for everything in the class. So that's a student-centric view. So those are the updates to the student interface for version 28, at least the main ones that we're going to highlight in this demo. And now I'm going to move on to some enhancements that we've made in the authoring interface. So now I'm looking in the authoring interface of Torus version 28. And I'm going to start off by talking about customizations that that authors can make here in the authoring interface to customize the appearance of the student interface. And I'm going to be referencing things that you saw when I did the student demo. So here on the project overview page, I'm going to start off with having a welcome message title and encouraging subtitle. So this is text that can appear on the home page specific to the class. We have kind of a default one, so you don't need to fill this in, but you optionally can make something specific to your class. And I will warn you with this and with other places where you can make text customization, like having an intro message, really for everything that I'm going to show you that is some kind of media, whether it's text or an image or a video. I'm going to recommend very strongly that you look at what this looks like in the student interface before before you publish it for your students. That you can do a preview, because you can end up with the text. I think the main thing that could go wrong is if you put very long text, it's going to start just not looking good on the screen. So you want to make sure that the text is of an appearance that is going to kind of fit into the space and be clear to the students. This welcome message is rich text, so you can use this editor to add links and format the text. So we can do all of the same text formatting that we can do on in page editing. Though the subtitle is going to be just plain text. It's going to be formatted as it is by default. If I scroll down here, most of this is the same as you're going to be familiar with from Torus version 27, but I do want to point out that whereas before we did have course discussions that can be enabled page by page and on the entire course level, so this would be enabling discussions throughout the course. We now have notes as well, and we had discussed notes in the student demo. So by default, both discussions and notes are going to be off. If you want to use these features, then in the authoring interface, this can be turned on. So now I'm going to go into the curriculum. And each of these containers is going to be customizable in terms of, here, I'll pull this up. So we have intro content. I'm going to give you that same text warning of making sure something looks good. If you have text that is too long, then that might not look good on the page. I can select a poster image here. And if you recall in the student interface, in that gallery view on the Learn page, this is the image that's going to appear for each container or page. And this can be, there is going to be a default image, so you don't have to go in and pick an image here. But you can go and pick something that is, more specific to your class. I would warn you for images that, if you recall, it has text on it. It's going to say the name of the item. It's going to have an indicator of whether it, like we had that check mark indicating whether it's done. We had that green bar that's indicating progress. So there are things that are going to appear on this poster that you pick. So here, I've just, for demo purposes, I picked a picture of a unicorn. This would actually be probably a pretty bad choice if this was a real class, because this is really busy and it's going to make it difficult to read what's on the poster. So it is important to kind of be careful about what image you put here, that you're picking something that's going to look good in the class. And then you also can do an intro video. Optionally, I had shown that an example of that in my student demo as well. For whatever reason, this doesn't automatically come up with a thumbnail of the video. So to see what the video is, by default, there's no video, but because I've uploaded, I can actually show that kind of silly video I made where I just moved the image around briefly. So that's something that can be selected as well. And you're going to find poster image, intro video, and intro content. These are all things that can be added to different container levels and even at the page level. So here I have an individual page. and I'm coming in. I do have, I don't think I put a video on this one, but I do have a poster image. I can optionally have intro content. So you can have this be, as customized as you want, down from the unit level down to the page level. Most of the items on this modal window were present in version 27, so they're not new, but I will point out that we have suggested duration. So if you remember from the student demo, this is an option if I want to tell students that this page or activity typically takes, say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. You can enter that. There is nothing by default, and you can just leave it blank if you want, but it's something that's available for you, if you want to use that feature. And just showing that if I go in, I have these same options at the module level, and really for any container or page, I can do this customized content. So the next item that I want to show in the authoring interface is an enhancement that we've made to our gating. So for that, I'm going to go into products, because that's where we do gating, and I'm just going to pick a product. And I'm going to go down to gating and scheduling here. So most of the options, if I'm making a new gate, are the same as what we had before. So these are the types of gates that we had before. What's new in version 28 is for this progress gate. So we can gate a page based on the percentage of progress, it doesn't have to be a page, it can be a container as well, based on the percentage of progress that has been made. And this is different because previously you could do this percent progress gating for a scored page, but now you can do it for a practice page as well. So let's say that you have a practice page and it has 5 questions on it, and you want to direct the students that they have to answer at least 2 of the 5 questions. At that point, if my math is correct, that would be 40% of the page. So here I'm going to select the target resource. I say, I don't want my students to be able to access Unit 2 until, here I go in, until they've done this unicorn metaphysics page, and I want them to do 40% of it. So if I create this gate, I'm not actually going to create it because I don't want to mess with things for folks who are doing the enrolling in the demo class. But if I did this, then students would have to get at least 40% through this practice page, this unicorn metaphysics page, before they're able to access this unit on finding AI-generated purple unicorns in the wild. So that is how that gate works. So that is everything I have to show specific to authors. But I also have some features that are in the admin interface for our folks who are admins, and just a couple quick items for them. One is if you are a content or system admin, then you're up and through version 27, you're going to be used to there being an item here that says manage open and free for our open and free sections. And that is also where you would go to create a new section. And that has been consolidated into browse all course sections. So if I click into here, this button isn't present in version 27 on this page, but now if you want to make a new section, you're going to come in and click this button here, and all of your section management is going to happen on this page. And the other item that I want to show is that we can, if you're any sort of admin, so you would have account access to this, or if you're if you're an account admin, then you can. So previously, if you had a user who needed to reset their password, then you would have to send them a password reset link. And this is still the preferred method. It's the most secure method. But occasionally we run into issues where someone doesn't have access to that email, or something's getting filtered in a way that they can't get it. And essentially, this creates a situation where if the user cannot access the email address that is associated with their account, then their password can't be reset, and they might end up in a situation where they can't log in, even if they're partway through a class, or even worse, if they're an instructor of the class and then they can't access their account. So now we've created a new option. So if I click in here, I can actually generate a password reset link as an admin. We do want to be really careful with this functionality. I'm sure you all can imagine a scenario where, someone, either there's confusion, or someone is actually maliciously pretending to be someone else, and they get a link to reset someone else's password. That could be a really bad thing to happen, especially in the middle of a class. So we do want our admins to be very careful about using this option, but we do now have the option of just generating this password reset link independent of an email, sending it to a user once we've verified that user's identity, and allowing them to reset a password without having to go through their email. So that is everything I'm going to demonstrate in this demo. As I mentioned previously, there's actually a lot in this release, a lot of other things that aren't included in the demo. I simply don't have time to go through every single thing. And one feature set in particular that I couldn't include in the demo that is a really nice feature set for some of our more research-focused authors are improvements that our wonderful UX designers have made to the A/B testing interface. If you are using Torus to have two different versions, an A and a B, that you're testing to see which helps students to learn, or which is a better interface, that had been a very poor user experience up through version 27, and there's some key improvements that have been made to that I'm not going to be able to include in this demo. So look out for that in our instructional materials. And for anything else, then when the release happens on July 29th, we'll include release notes that go over every item that is, every enhancement and every bug fix in the release. And you can also ask me. My contact information is in the description of this video. Follow up with me if you have a question about what is in the release, or how something in particular works. I'd love to hear from you. But thanks so much. I hope that you've enjoyed this demo and found it informative. And I'll see you all hopefully next month in our Torus community meeting. Thanks and goodbye.